As I mentioned before, we have two steps to start the project: levels, that we done, and then grids. So grids we are going to create in our plans. Let's go to one of our plans. Let's go to L01. Before we start with the grids, I need some guidelines. So the best lines at the moment for me are reference plane lines. If you go to the structure, then in work plane you have reference plane, and then let's create one line somewhere here, and then left click, right click, create similar, second line somewhere here. Okay, we have two lines, and what we want to do, we want to have a distance between them 40415. We can create a line dimensions, or we can use one of the temporary ones. So select the line and we'll get the temporary dimension. We can change the temporary for proper one, just pressing the symbol there. I'm going to delete this for the moment. So select the line and then select the number. In here, let's type 40415 and then hit enter. Okay, now we know that the distance between those two lines is 40415. The second step, I need a line that starts from here and goes to this line here. Left click, right click, create similar, and then start from this line, left click, go over there, snap to this line and left click, escape. Okay, we have a line, and then we need two more lines. That the sides, we need two other sides of the triangle. So left click, right click, create similar, then snap to the end of this line. It should say endpoint. Left click and then go up and click somewhere here. Do the same on the other side. Left click and click somewhere here, and then zoom in, go to annotate, go to angular and click this line and this line, left click and do the same here and left click. I'm going to change the scale so you can see the numbers. If I change this for 200, all the annotations, symbols, numbers and letters will get larger. Why do I need this? I need this to be sure that I have 60 degrees between this line and this line. So to change the angle of the line, I need to select the line I'm going to move, or to rotate this time. So select this, then the number, and then type 60 and enter. Do the same on this side, left click, 60 and enter. Once we have 60 degrees on two sides, then we can be sure that it's 60 degrees on this side. You can double check. If you click here and here, yes, it's 60. So the total is 180. Let's delete dimensions and let's trim this corner here. To do it, select the line, go to the modify and use trim extend to corner. Left click and then trim this. Oh, that doesn't work for a reference plane. So what we can do, we can just stretch it to clean up the corners and then delete the vertical lines. Now we have this nice triangle. The next thing I would like to do, I would like to move the elevation. The elevation symbol has two parts. This part, elevation, building elevation, and then also has this round part that is separate. If we move just this one, so if you select, if you move just this one, I'll show you what happened. The symbol actually stays as was before, but the line that is a section line has been moved. What we can do with it, we can press Ctrl Z to go back, and then I'm going to use this method with the windows crossing. Select that way and then move it out. When you select both parts, you can see we actually could move everything in once. Move this somewhere here, move this somewhere here, and this somewhere here. Actually, this one slightly higher. Okay, so what's next? The next thing is that we want to create another reference plane lines with 3000 offset outside from this shape. It's very simple. We can just select one of the lines with the left click, then right click, create similar, offset. Let's type this 3000, enter. Let's snap this corner. If your line is inside, use the space bar to flip the line to the other side. Left click to confirm, and again we want to create another line here and another line here. What I would like to do next, I would like to join both lines, three lines together. So when you stretch it, you can see Revit will snap to the other line. So snap and extend and connect both, and this will be enough for us to create grids. Just want to show you what this reference plane line. Reference plane line goes through all the levels. It's a vertical surface that cuts the plants all the way up and down. So if you go to the other plants, you can see that the reference plane is there. Okay, so next thing I want to do, I want to go to the structure, grid. This line tool is fine, offset 0 is fine, and I'm going to create first grid somewhere here. Then escape, select the grid line again, move this and snap to the external line, reference plane line, and then check the box. What we are going to do next is to copy this grid with 7000 distance all the way up. Okay, so let's do it now. Select the grid, go to the copy tool and go up. Make sure that you go vertical and type 7000. Okay, so as you can see, Revit automatically creates the next number. We are going to rename the numbers, the numbers or the grids names later on. So what I would like to do next, you can also create another grid using this technique. Left click, right click, create similar, and then type an offset 7000, enter, and then start here and here. By default, the name is just on one side. What we can do, we can select one of the grids, go to the edit type, and in graphics we have plan view symbols and 1 and plan view symbols and 2. So because the end 2 was just selected, Revit automatically create the bubble on one side. What we want the names, then the bubbles on both sides. Check this box and press OK. So left click, right click, create similar with an offset 7000 and create this, create another one here. Make sure that you snap to the grid. If by accident you snap to your reference plane line somewhere here, that won't work. We need a 7000 distance between the grids. So left click, left click. What should happen is that you should have this corner exactly where is the last grid. What we can do now, we can snap the grids into this line. To do so, I have to unlock this. If I unlock this and I move this here, I can do it separate for each grid. If I don't unlock, I'm going to move both or more, depends on the situation. So for me now the trick is to unlock each grid and snap it to the external reference plane line. The same as with levels, there is symbol 3D and 2D. So when I'm moving this, that will affect all the plans all the way up. Okay, you can see that one is longer. We go to L3, longer, roof, it's longer. If I move it back, that change affects all plans. So if I go down this time, I can see everything has been changed. But if I change this for 2D and I extend it, okay, that change is only for this view L01. If I go to L02, you can see this grid is still much shorter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going back to this empty cycle to get 3D back, and then when I have 3D, I'll snap to the reference plane, select this, and this one we need to unlock it. Okay, that's the first set. We're going to create two other sets on both sides. But before then, I would like to rename the grids. And I would like to call this grid A1, enter. This is A2, enter. This is A3, enter. This is A4, enter. A5, enter. And A6, enter. Okay, so next, let's create grids that will start. The first grid will line up with this reference plane line, and then from here we do an offset 7000 up to this corner here. You can create this way, or you can go to the structure, go to datum and then grid. Save the project if Revit asks you. Save. And then snap to the reference plane. You should get a symbol nearest. Snap it and left click, and then go up and make sure that you have another symbol parallel. So what that means, this grid is parallel to our reference plane, and this is exactly what we want. The next I want to do is to extend this grid line up to here, and this end up to here, and the name will be B1, enter. Okay, now next let's copy this and let's use an offset 7000. So let's see what's the best technique. Let's select the grid, let's try offset, type 7000, make sure that the copy is selected and numerical, and then enter. We can't use this for grids, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the copy tool, select the grid, go to copy, check constraint, check multiple, and choose your first point somewhere in the middle. So left click here, and then the next click will be 7000 that way. So make sure that Revit is snapping perpendicular, so move your cursor somewhere here and then type 7000, enter. Okay, because we check multiple, we can actually still copy more. So type another 7000, another one, and the other one, enter. Actually one more, 7, that's all. So the trick is, if you change the name at the beginning, when you create the first grid, Revit will actually use that name and start to name in order exactly as you started. So that will save some time for us. As you remember, before we had to change the names manually. Now the next step is, let's modify it and let's move the grid up to here. Select the second one, unlock it, move it back somewhere here, select, unlock it, move it somewhere here, select, unlock, move it here. Make sure that you snap to the reference plane line, left click, unlock here, left click, unlock here. Do the same on the other side. Here, I have to unlock first, move it here, unlock, move it here, unlock here, and the last one here. Okay, but it's not done. We need to create the grids, the other grids on this side. Let's do the same. Left click one of the grids, right click, create similar, snap to our reference plane. When you know it's snapping, it's the line will get blue and it should say nearest. Left click and then left click when it says parallel. So then we are sure that this grid is exactly parallel to our reference plane. Snap this up to here and snap this up to here. This line, this grid is called C1. Enter. Select C1, go to the copy, make sure that the constraint and multiple are selected and copy it down there. Make sure it's perpendicular, so move it that way and type 7000, enter. Move it that way, 7000, 7000, and 2 more times, 7 and 7. Okay, that looks correct. All the grids should intersect in the corners. All 3 grids should intersect in one common point. Now the next thing is we need to clean it up. So unlock, move it, unlock, move it. Oh, by accident I didn't unlock. Unlock and move it. Unlock here, here. Make sure you unlock and make sure it's 3D. If it is 3D, that change will be global, so all our plans will get the grids as we have it in our L01 plan. Unlock, unlock. Yes, that looks better. I'm going to back to the scale 100 and the next thing I would like to do, I would like to get rid of the reference plane lines. I can do it selecting one of it, which is left click, then right click, create, not create similar, but select all instances in visible. This is not active, so what we can do next, we can actually select all, go to the filter, check none, check reference planes. We can see we have 6 lines, which is correct. We have 2 on each side. Then OK. Then make sure that is unpin, and then you can press this delete, or you can hit delete from your keyboard. Once you delete, now we have only grids left. The other thing I would like to do, I would like to select all, go to the filter, check none, check grids, OK, and then pin it. And then left click. What is pin? Pin protects from accidents, so we cannot move it on. If we spin it, Revit will let us know can't move pinned element. We cannot also delete it, so if you select it and press delete, I get a warning as well, pinned objects were not deleted. So this is something that you should aware. You should pin parts of our model that they are very important, and the same what you could do is with your levels. You could select the levels and then you could pin it. L01, and then the next is we can actually do a quick test before we move on. If you select one of the grids and you go to edit type, if you change, for example, the color for this one, and if you change the grid line for solid, then okay. So all the lines have changed for solid lines, and now we can see if we did mistake. Yes, I can see I have a mistake here, so I need to fix it. The same is here. So before I go on, I move on, I need to find out which grids should be moved. I think the horizontal ones should move up. So I'm going to select the grids again, filter, check none, grids, okay, unpin it, because we cannot move it if they are pinned, and then select all the grids, horizontal grids, or the others, depends if you did mistake as me or not, and then move this and snap to the intersection. Revit says that the distance is too small, so what we can do, we can select the horizontal grids. We can actually move out first and then move in, and then make sure that you snap to the intersection of both. How we can be sure? We can see this blue dotted line. Now all the lines, grid lines, intersect in one point. That's very important. So let's see the other corner. Yes. So I have fixed the grids. If those three corners work, I presume the rest of the grids are correct. Let me check this one. Yes, everything is okay. So the last thing I want to do, as I did before, select all, filter, this time the only grids are selected, okay, and pin all. And before we move on, let's go to edit type, let's change this color for black, and then the solid line, let's change it back to the grid line, okay, that's it. Double click the scroll to have a full view, and let's move on.